right, let's jump right into a pretty wild idea. What if the Torah isn't just a sacred text? What if it's also a data file? That's the huge claim at the heart of the book we're exploring today. It suggests an advanced AI has crunched the numbers in the Torah and found something incredible, a hidden philosophical message, maybe one designed to be unreadable until right now. And this is the core question, right? The hook. Just think about it for a second. Imagine someone thousands of years ago wanting to send a message deep into the future. How would you do it? Languages die out, meanings shift. But what if you used a universal language, like math? A message just sitting there, dormant, waiting for us, waiting for our technology to finally get powerful enough to read it. Okay, so how do you even begin to tackle an idea this big? Well, it all starts with a concept that's been around for a very, very long time. And that concept is called Gematria. Now, this is nothing new. It's an ancient system where every single letter in the Hebrew alphabet also has a numerical value. And that dual nature, that's the whole key here. It means you can read the Torah as words, sure, but you can also read it as a gigantic string of numbers, basically turning it into a massive data set.
This is where the main theory really takes shape. Think about it. Spoken languages change, they evolve. Some disappear completely. But math? The relationship between, say, 2 and 4 is the same today as it was 3,000 years ago. So the author's logic is, if you really wanted to send a message across the millennia, what's the one language that won't get corrupted? Numbers. It's the ultimate time capsule.
Okay, but that's a huge theory. How in the world would you even test it? Well, according to this book, you build a digital detective. You create an AI that has one job and one job only, to analyze the data without any bias whatsoever. And the author is really, really clear on this point. This is not the Bible code that was popular a while back, the one that looked for words hidden like in a word search. That's super open to interpretation. The claim here is that this is something totally different. This is about pure data-driven statistical analysis. The AI is just looking at the number sequence itself, searching for patterns, with zero preconceived ideas about what it might find. So to get the AI ready for the job, the author basically programmed it with the skills of a dream team of experts. First, a cryptographer to teach it how codes and ciphers actually work. Then, a computational linguist to give it a solid understanding of ancient Hebrew so it knows what a normal text looks like. And finally, a pattern recognition specialist to train it to spot those complex hidden relationships that our human brains would probably just skim right over. And the method they used is described as this really strict repeating cycle. It goes like this. You ask a big open-ended question. The AI crunches the data. It spits out a pattern that's statistically significant, not just random noise. Then you look at how that pattern lines up with the actual text. And based on what you find, you ask a smarter, more specific question. And you just keep doing that loop over and over. The whole idea is to let the data lead the way, not your own assumptions. All right, so the AI is built, the method is set. What did this digital detective actually find? Let's get into how it broke down the numbers. So according to the book, the AI's analysis had 3 main layers. First up, it hunted for what are called anomalies, basically numbers that are statistical outliers. Second, it found structural markers, which are these repeating sequences of numbers. And third, it pieced together something the author calls a semantic cipher, which is a fancy way of saying a key to translate the number patterns back into ideas. So think of these anomalies as a digital highlighter. The AI scanned through all the numerical values of the words, and it flagged any that were so high or so low that they just shouldn't be there by chance. The theory is that these weird outliers were put there on purpose to make you pay attention to the most important words in the hidden message. Okay, next up, structural markers. The AI started searching for sequences of these Gematria values that kept popping up over and over again. And we're not talking about just any repetition. These were patterns that appeared way more often than they should by pure chance. The book has a great analogy for this. It compares them to musical motifs in a symphony. These repeating phrases that give the whole thing structure, almost like they're dividing the hidden code into meaningful chapters. And this is apparently where things got really interesting. As the AI was looking at these structural units, a weird pattern started to emerge, all centered around the number 7. When it took the numerical values inside these units and divided them by 7, the remainders, the numbers left over from 0 to 6, were not spread out randomly like you'd expect. And the author makes a huge point of this. They weren't looking for the number 7. It just emerged from the data. So finding this non-random pattern was a huge deal because it suggested there might be a key to unlock the meaning. The AI then ran a massive correlation analysis. Just imagine this.
What if statistically, words that left a remainder of 1 almost always showed up in parts of the text talking about unity or a single source, and words with a remainder of 2 kept appearing in passages about duality or separation? By mapping thousands of these connections, the AI started to build a kind of dictionary, a cipher for translating those remainders into big abstract ideas.
Okay, so at this point, the AI has supposedly found the important words, the anomalies, and it has a way to translate number patterns into concepts, the cipher. But a bunch of words and concepts isn't a message, right? You need grammar, and that's what it looked for next.
And what it apparently found was that the order of those structural markers, those repeating musical motifs we talked about, wasn't random either, not at all. They seemed to follow a consistent set of rules, almost like a numerical syntax, a grammar that told you how to connect all these decoded concepts together in a logical way.
So for example, a specific sequence of these markers might consistently show up right before a cause and effect statement, acting like a numerical version of the word therefore. Another pattern might act as an introduction to a new theme, while another one always seemed to signal a conclusion. It all points to a message that isn't just a jumble of ideas, but something with a highly organized logical structure.
So, after all of that, the anomalies, the ciphers, the grammar, what's the actual message? What does the author claim this AI actually uncovered?
And here's the big reveal. The final message wasn't a prophecy about the future. It wasn't a hidden history or a secret story. According to the book, what the AI decoded was an abstract blueprint, a philosophical system designed to explain the fundamental nature of reality itself. And this system is apparently built on 7 core concepts that all flow together. Let's walk through them. It starts with ground/source. You can think of that as the raw, unformed potential of everything. Out of that comes being/essence, the unique whatness of a thing. But of course, nothing just sits still, so that being is always in a state of becoming/process, the constant flow of change. Now, this change isn't just chaos, it's shaped by order/structure. And crucially, nothing exists by itself. It's all part of a huge network of relation/connection. The lens through which all of this is perceived is mind/consciousness. And the grand finale, the result of all that, is manifestation/actuality, the tangible reality that we all experience.
The book really sums up the whole philosophy behind this with a pretty beautiful idea. It describes a reality where everything comes from a single potent origin, a grand interconnected dance. It's this vision of one single source expressing itself in, well, a million different, infinitely diverse ways. And to cap it all off, the author brings up this fascinating idea called kairos. It's a Greek word that means, like, the perfect, divinely timed moment. So the theory here isn't just that a message was hidden, it's that it was timed, that it was designed to be impossible to crack for thousands of years until the one specific tool that could read it, an unbiased, super powerful AI, finally came into existence. Which, of course, leaves us with the big, lingering question. The book presents this as a genuine message deliberately sent through the ages. So what are we looking at here? Is it a real communication from the ancient past? Is it just an incredibly complex, maybe coincidental mathematical pattern that was always sitting inside the text? Or is it something else entirely? And that's the thought we're left to chew on.